The amazing world of being a father to girls, and the terrifying reality of them becoming teenagers. Plus, Burger King spices up your love life on Valentine's Day, and the debut of Best We've Ever Had. All that and more on this week's
Dude, we're adults!
Let's Go! It's the most wonderful time of the year. Do you guys know why it's the most wonderful time of the year?
It's tax season.
February. Yeah, I have no
Do you
idea
guys,
why
do you guys
you would
see?
think
Do you guys see
February.
what's in my hand right now? Do you see these?
Girl Scout cookies.
Yes, not a Girl Scout. Girl Scout cookies. Let's be clear on that. It's Girl Scout cookie time, guys. I got these. I was actually at the store before we came here, and actually, those little girls were out front. You know, high pressure sales, telling me I needed to get some stuff, so otherwise they can't afford to do anything. And
What'd you get? What's your favorite?
mine, I would have to say. So I got these for my wife. Put them in the freezer. She loves Thin
Yep.
Mints out of the freezer.
Yep.
But
Out of the
I am
freezer.
more of like the shortbread, simple sugar
Mhm.
cookie type of guy. That's what
What
I'm
do you-
really into.
What are you, British? Shortbread sugar cookies?
Yeah.
Shortbread.
I like the
Not
I like
not
these
too sweet.
shortbread.
No, the Thin Mints are where it's at. I love the Thin. Yeah, I agree. Except if you eat like a whole sleeve, it feels like you kind of brush your teeth, but they're pretty delicious.
It's like you brush your teeth. Yeah, right after I eat Thin Mints, I feel like fresh and my mouth feels fresh and clean. But
It's like
I
you brush your teeth and drink a chocolate milk.
but I think to myself, like this box, it was $5 for this box, and like this is half the size they used to be. Like it's just
Yeah, but it's worth it though.
yeah, it's true. But
They
have you guys
they-
have you guys ever bought actual Girl Scout cookies from a Girl Scout? Because usually it's always the mom that is like pressuring me to buy them. Like this is like actually
no,
the first time I've ever bought them.
Never from a kid.
I've always bought them at work, where the parent will come in and say,
Correct.
"My daughter or son, not
Yeah.
son, maybe today actually.
Son.
That would be acceptable today. My daughter is selling Girl
Exactly.
Scout cookies. Do you want to buy a box or 5?" So
Yeah,
you always feel like a dick not doing it.
correct, correct.
Have you seen that they have Girl Scout cookie cereal?
What?
It's at Target. Yeah, they have Thin Mint cereal now.
Oh wow!
It's at Target or at Walmart if you are in Tucson.
I know that they, yeah, we only go to Walmart here in Tucson. But no, I saw that DQ does the Thin Mint Blast this time of year, which is really good if you ever go to a Dairy
Is that like
Queen.
a Blizzard?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Who-
Yeah, Thin Mint
Who,
Blizzard.
who goes to Dairy Queen? Maybe if you're like a senior in high school and need to hang out somewhere, go to Dairy
Yeah,
Queen.
I haven't been to Dairy Queen since I think junior high.
Alrighty.
People are like stopping the.
When you live in Roswell for a couple months, let's just say like DQ is like the happening place to go. So
Have you eaten? Have you eaten like protein? Like, do you eat like hamburgers and hot dogs from DQ?
No,
That live in
gosh, I
Roswell?
can't. I've never been able to do that. Like they have their chicken tender basket or burger basket. No, I have never eaten the whole time that DQ has ever had food there. I'll only do ice cream. I won't do anything else. I can't bring myself to order a burger or chicken tenders from a ice cream place.
What's the grossest thing you've ever mixed into ice cream?
What would you mix into ice cream?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, like you put Jimmy's in, you put chocolate in, you put.
you put Jimmy's
You know,
in.
I-
What's Jimmy's? Like,
Are you
Ask
are you kidding me, Brian?
what are Jimmy's?
They're chocolate sprinkles. That's a Northeast thing. They call them Jimmys.
Hmm.
When I moved to Southern California, well, my family did, and we'd go to Baskin Robbins. Can I get some Jimmys? And they'd look at me like I was an idiot, and they had no idea what I was talking about.
They bring the
But up
stock
here-
boy out. He's like, here he is.
Out here, it's a well accepted, like bureau. Like people, when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, it's on the bureau, and people are like, well, what the hell is a bureau?
Oh yeah, I
But-
learned that from you.
So, what are your guys'
It's-
favorite Girl Scout cookies?
We talked about this, didn't we?
Oh, was it just Thin Mints across the board? Is that it?
No, I don't. I don't like Thin Mints. But I get that people do. Tagalongs, the chocolate and peanut butter.
Oh,
The
okay,
thing-
yeah. The chocolate
Yeah.
covered peanut butter.
I ate an entire box freshman year in college, like in one sitting. That's the only time I've ever done that, and I felt so gross. I mean, you feel gross and regretful, right?
You feel like Mike when Lauren goes out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Valentine's Day was this past week. Do you guys do anything for Valentine's Day?
Well, Lauren's birthday is the day after Valentine's Day, so I kind of, well, I don't want to say combined gifts, but she worked that night, so I basically had gifts waiting for her when she came home. We're going to go out tonight or tomorrow for dinner, depending on what is more convenient. But we didn't really do anything other than just I gave her gifts and stuff for her birthday and Valentine's Day. And I ordered her chocolate love bug things from Sherry's Berries. Those were pretty delicious. They were
Yeah.
like cake pops. Those were good.
Okay, hold on. I have so many questions. What are love bugs?
Or they're little bugs. I forget the name. There was some Sherry's Berries. Have you heard of Sherry's Berries?
That was my second question.
You've never heard of
Follow up.
Sherry's Berries?
What is Sherry's Berries?
It's where you
Sherry's
can
Berry.
like
It-
chocolate covered strawberries, and you order them online, and it's like Pro Flowers, but they deliver them with like
Oh,
chocolate
okay,
covered.
okay.
It's like edible arrangements, but with just like chocolate covered strawberries and other
I thought
delicacies.
that was Brian's mom's nickname for you and me, Mike.
Sherry's Berries. Yeah, it's from my mom. Mike contacts my mom every year on Valentine's Day.
Sherry, quick! I need help for Valentine's Day. What should I do?
It's just a normal thing since college. He's been doing it. So, Jason, do you guys do anything for Valentine's Day?
We have like a sort of a quasi tradition to make homemade fondue, and we dip all sorts of fun stuff in it. It's super good. We got a fondue pot in college, and we're probably one of the few people that actually get it and use it somewhat regularly. Like I'm making fondue every week. No, but no,
Who
it's
needs melting pot?
Exactly. No, it's yeah. So we did that, and we watched this really romantic show. It was called Breaking Bad. She's in the middle. She's watching it for the first time, and so we watched the season 3 finale on Valentine's Day, and it was so good.
So is she
So
really
wait-
is she liking it? Is she really getting into it?
Yeah, she is. She is. And it was. You guys have seen it, yeah?
Yep.
Brian, have you seen it?
I think I've seen through season. How many seasons were there? 6?
It's
5.
insane. It's 5.
Okay, so
And
I
it-
think
and
I've
it's
seen
like-
through season 3, and then I didn't watch anything, and then I watched the finale.
And you basically live not too far where it all takes place, too.
Well, my mom does.
Well, I mean, you're a lot closer than us.
Yeah.
Look, desert's desert. All right.
Yeah, I still live like 7 hours away from it, but I'm not all that close.
Yeah, at the end of season 3, that's when Jesse goes over to Gail's house and he shoots Gail. And at the end of the episode, it's a little bit unclear because the camera moves if Jesse actually kills Gail or not. So I turned the TV off as soon as the episode ended, and Sarah's like, "I want. Did he die? Like, I don't know if he died." And I said, "Yep, he died." And I was like, "Wait, what did I just do? I just spoiled like
Correct.
the cliffhanger for her."
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
granted, we can watch the next
But
one.
if we go back to the first time we did this podcast, it's okay that you spoiled it because it's been way over 18 months.
That's true.
By your own,
That was my-
own logic.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
Explain that to her. Say, didn't you listen to our first episode?
You're right.
Yeah.
So that was our romantic Valentine's Day.
Jacqueline and I, we never really do anything for Valentine's Day. She told me early on that she's not into Valentine's Day, and I was like, sweet.
Trouble in paradise.
No. She told me right when we started dating that she wasn't into it. I'm like, that is totally fine with me. But then every year she goes, we should maybe do something for Valentine's Day. I'm like, you bring this up every year, but yeah, we'd never do anything. But actually, speaking of Sherry's Berries, I just got some strawberries at the store and then got semi-sweet chocolate, melted it, and did my own chocolate dipped strawberries for her, which was actually way easier to do and way cheaper than Sherry's Berries. And it was pretty good.
Brian's berries, then?
Yes, exactly. Brian's
Did
berries.
Did
Yeah.
she like Brian's berries?
Yes, she liked Brian's berries very much. We'll see if I leave that part in or not. So,
You should leave that part in.
yeah. So quick, I wanted to tell you guys a story about Valentine's Day when I was a reporter. It was 2009 when the economy was just like in the crapper. And Tucson was one of the hardest hit cities when it came to the economy, well, just Arizona in general. And because the economy was so bad, the botanical gardens here were trying to attract more people to come. And so when you think of botanical gardens, think of any botanical garden that you guys have ever been to, and then divide that by 50, and that's our botanical garden, with probably cactus and dirt on the ground because there's not really much garden at the botanical gardens here. So they were trying to attract more people to come. So for Valentine's Day, they offered couples the chance to get married there for $250. Okay?
That's sad.
And the package that you signed up for allowed for them to have 10 guests per bride and groom, their own photographer, a cake that was just a little bit bigger than a cupcake, and a bottle of Andre champagne. Each ceremony lasted about 10-15 minutes so they could get as many weddings as they could. And guys, the couples and the people that showed up for these weddings, oh my gosh. So I did an interview with every single couple after they got married, and every single bride, I was like, so how do you feel today, blah, blah, blah. Every single one was like, well, he told me, we've been together for 5 or 6 years, and he told me that we just couldn't get married because it wasn't, like, we didn't have enough money. Well, this was only $250, so I told him, sorry, you have to get married now. And these guys look so dejected, like they finally, like they had to get married and they couldn't go anywhere else. And it was like, well, why didn't you guys just go to the Justice of the Peace? And it was like, no, I wanted an actual wedding. So these people spent $250, and it was quite an experience.
They didn't have to spend any money on flowers. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. Because they had cactus all around them. Beautiful background.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, so let's jump in. Anything else you guys want to get to before we jump into some of the news of the week?
Guys, I have a joke.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Is it his little Lady Gaga joke?
La, 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 la.
Since it's winter, I thought I'd ask both of you. Guys, how do you find Will Smith in the snow?
How do you find Will Smith in the snow?
You look for the Fresh Prince.
Oh, jeez.
All right, news of the week.
Alrighty, let's move
that
on
was
here.
awful.
Okay, so because we were discussing Valentine's Day a little bit, I found this really interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Burger King was offering on Valentine's Day their own adults-only Happy Meal that included...
What was in it?
The meal came with 2 Whoppers, 2 packs of French fries, 2 beers...
2 beers?
2 beers, and a romantic adult toy to have fun with that night.
Oh, gross. Because nothing puts me in the mood like Burger King.
Exactly. And the motto was, have it your way, if you know what I mean.
Ew.
So...
I'm surprised the motto wasn't chicken finger your love. I hope my parents don't listen to the podcast at that last joke. That was wildly inappropriate for them.
So along with that, right? So Burger King apparently isn't the only fast food that does something on Valentine's Day. I guess White Castle actually takes reservations for dine-in that day. And,
that's hilarious.
And the tables are covered with red tablecloths, candles, and tableside service. And Waffle House provides a candlelight dinner with heart-shaped waffles, Sprite in champagne glasses, and a roaming violinist. So it's fast food romance, guys. And I'm sure the romance is short-lived after that as well.
I would go to White Castle. That'd be kind of fun.
I think so. I was thinking about this. Okay, I was going to say, would you ever go to one of these places? And I think Waffle House would be pretty funny to go to, just to see it. Sprite and champagne glasses and a roaming violinist.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty funny. But do you guys think your girls would ever be up for something like that?
Yeah, I think Lauren would think it would be a blast. But if that's all I did, that would probably not be acceptable. She's pretty low maintenance, I'll be honest. But that can't be all you do. I mean, it would be a funny joke. I don't think anyone that doesn't get married for $250 at a botanical garden would take that seriously.
That's probably where a lot of those people went afterwards, was, hey, let's head over to Burger King for our reception.
Now, did the Burger King meal come with a toy?
Yeah, so it comes with a toy. It's the adult toy, and it says an adult toy, but listen how innocent these toys are. It's either a satin mask blindfold, a feather duster, or a scalp massager.
Or anal beads.
You have to order the chocolate milk if you get the anal beads.
Oh, gross.
Guys.
Oh, sick. That you crossed the line, Mike.
Do you guys have any? That's all I have. I was just curious. I just thought it was pretty funny that Burger King of all places and some of these other fast food restaurants are doing something for Valentine's Day.
On a related note, did you see, Brian, that Chili's lifted the lifetime ban on Jenna Fisher?
Oh yes, I did. You sent me that. Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
So Pam from The Office got drunk in season 1 of The Office, or season 2, and in the show they banned her from ever going to another Chili's because she saw God in the restaurant and because she was so drunk.
Oh my God! Whoa. I just want to say that this was the best Dundies ever! Okay. Whoa!
We have a strict policy here not to overserve. Apparently, this young woman was sneaking drinks off other people's tables. I Xeroxed her driver's license, and she is not welcome at this restaurant chain ever again.
But she posted to Instagram a photo of her standing outside of a Chili's saying, "Should I go in?" And the Chili's social media people announced that they had lifted the ban.
The Chili's social media people were like, please come in. We need the business.
Yes, please.
Because who goes to Chili's anymore?
So, Mike, do you have anything?
Just what happened to me this week. Lauren and I actually, this isn't relevant news to the mass public, but Lauren and I toured a maternity ward for the first time in my life, seeing that experience of the whole process of having a baby.
And Mike, you found out the gender, correct?
Yeah, we did. We're gonna have a girl.
All right, good job.
I'm very
Mikey.
excited about.
Three
I'm
for
excited.
three.
My whole family's excited because there are currently 8 grandkids in our family, 7 of which are boys and 1 is a girl. So we'll be adding 1 more girl to the family. So really excited about that. And when we were deciding, oh yeah, we're ready to have kids, I was hoping it would be a girl. I don't really have a good answer for why I wanted a girl. I just was hoping my first kid would be a girl. So we're really excited about that. And we've already picked out a name, and it's going to be Joey. And that's it, not short for anything, Josephina.
I don't want to wait for our lives to be over.
Not after Dawson's Creek. It's not after that. It's not after Joey Lauren Adams. It's just a name that we both like. And
How
we're
you
not
doing?
picking it because it's gender neutral. I just like the name because it's a cute name. And Lauren likes it too. And their middle name will be Rose, which is my mother's name. So her name is Joey Rose.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
Oh,
So
that's
we're-
Joey
Joey Rose, you get back here right now.
And I think I just heard Brian trying to do an impression of my mother.
Correct. That
who has-
that 60-year-old Boston woman.
She's she's got even after being removed from Massachusetts for almost 30 some odd years, she's still got the thickest, New England accent, Boston accent you could imagine.
So, Mike, how was the tour of the hospital?
It was eye-opening.
Did you guys get to witness any live births? Did they have you walk
No.
in on any? No.
No, I'd probably faint if I saw a live birth.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you go through that. All the
It was funny though because there was like 4 other couples that were touring with us, and they were showing us around. I have no idea what the whole process is like, and they're like, this is the room where you give birth in, and then they move you to another room called the the postpartum room. And it was just nothing I've ever seen before. But then they were like, oh, and I was thinking the whole time, like, it's wicked hot in here. Is this going to be the temperature? And I'm sure when I asked that question, people were like, what a dick. Like, he only cares about himself and how hot he is. And then the lady was like,
and how hot he is.
and then they're like, here's where you can go get coffee. You can get espresso. You can have a shot. And I was like, shots? And like Lauren, elbowed me on the side because I was sounding like a big jerk saying, oh, I'm going to have a shot of liquor after my wife gives birth. And really, I knew she didn't mean you're going to get a shot, but there was a little part of me that was like, that would be awesome if they had like a line of shots after your wife gave birth and you could like go down
A
there
line
and
of them.
like,
Why?
You, the doctor, the nurses.
yeah,
You again.
But like seeing the big chair that she would give birth in and the little chair I would get to sleep in, I was
Yeah,
like,
have
oh,
fun
this
with
is gonna
that.
be- Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to complain because she's pushing, a 6 to 10 pound baby out of her while I'm worrying about a little chair.
Because both you guys get queasy very easily, how do you think you're going to handle the birth? And Jason, how did you handle it? Because both of you guys don't have ironclad stomachs.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything on the below the knee end looking. I'm going to probably, unless Lauren's like, you get down there and you look at what's happening, which
What?
I don't think she'll do. I'll probably be standing next to her holding her
You
hand.
get down there.
you look what you did.
Which I hope is the case.
I loved all of a sudden the voice that Lauren got. It was very deep and gravelly, and
You know what? When my first nephew was born back in 1997, nothing grossed me out more than seeing his like dead umbilical cord in his belly button. I was like 15 at the time, and I remember like later that
Gross.
day, I was downstairs at my sister's house, and I couldn't eat chocolate chip ice cream because all the chocolate chips reminded me of his dead umbilical
Oh
cord.
my gosh! What are we
So
doing
now
here?
all I'm thinking of is like, am I gonna have to have anything to do with the umbilical cord, and it's gonna be so gross? And I hope not. I'm glad I don't have a boy because they're gonna be like, "Hey, Dad, want to circumcise the baby?" Which that even thinking about that.
They don't offer that. If they offer that to you, you need to leave and take your baby right away.
Yeah, exactly.
And also
What
you're
kind
having
of
a girl.
place?
Part of the reason I'm glad I'm having a girl.
So you don't have to do the circumcision in the hospital?
Yeah.
So Jason, how did you?
Yeah.
How did having a girl? Like I said, you guys
well-
both don't have great stomachs, so I'm just curious.
Well,
Or having babies.
Both of my kids were born via cesarean, and they put a big blue sheet, basically so that you and the mom can't see anything that's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the best thing. That was the best possible thing because all I could see was my wife and the blue sheet, and that was it. And when I walked into the operating room both times, I looked at the nurse and I said, "Don't even offer me the scissors to supposedly do a ceremonial cut of the cord. I don't want to. I don't want anywhere near that thing." I think I screamed in biology when you had to dissect the frog, and that thing is a frog and it's dead. So I don't even want anything to do with the umbilical cord. And I agree with you, Mike. Those things are nasty. Babies are beautiful. Those dead umbilical cords, they take forever to fall off, and then they start to bleed, and they smell. And
So they asked me in the hospital, all the nurses, right? Because you only see the doctor for the last 2 minutes of the whole thing, and so all the nurses kept asking me like, "Hey, Dad, do you want to cut the cord? Do you want to cut the cord?" And I had told Jacqueline long before. I was like, I just don't have desire to do it. Like I wasn't one of those guys that was like, yeah, I need to cut it. I never had a desire. So I kept telling all the nurses. I said, no, I'm good. So I told all of them no, I didn't want to do it. Well, the doctor comes in for the last 2 minutes, and she never asked me, and nurses never told her that I didn't want to do it. So my daughter comes out, and right away the doctor just goes, "Here, Dad, cut the cord." Everyone just looked at me, and I wasn't gonna be like, "Oh, no, I'm not doing it. So I was just like, fine. So I just grabbed it, and I did it. It didn't gross me out or anything. I just had no desire to do it. Jason, Sarah didn't yell at you and say, "You get down there and look."
no, we were allowed to take pictures even though it's an operating room, and so we were just taking pictures of like the swaddled baby and like little selfies of the three of us, and then the anesthesiologist grabs our camera and reaches over the blue sheet where the operation is happening and like just starts snapping pictures. Like, I don't ever want to see those photos ever.
Are they still on your phone?
I don't know. I think
They're
I told
hanging
Sarah.
up in the hallway, right?
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So
Is that a
so
scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
That's better than my dad had decided when I think I was 10 years old to bring out the slides, because that's how they took pictures back then of my mom giving birth to me. And
Yes.
I didn't know what they were showing me at the time, and because I was too young, and then years later I realized what I actually saw, and I
Yes.
actually saw my own birth from the view of my father who was taking pictures of it.
No, I know.
And I think of my father and I go, he knew what he was doing. And he knew, like, that was a total, like, I'm going to get these kids and I'm going to make them look at this. Like, I totally know my father and what he was doing.
Yeah, we had that same photo album at home. Not your birth. We don't have your birth.
Your dad sent me your birth.
And I was born at home, so it's like my parents' bedroom. It's really gross.
It was where you were
It's really
conceived
gross.
and where you were born.
Circle of Life. It's actually
Henya.
yeah,
Oh,
like a real son of a hippie.
So Jacqueline told me, she goes, "You look at me the whole time, right? You look at me, you don't go down there, you don't do anything." And I'm like, I have no problem with that. Like, I'll stay up here. And I remember standing there, and the nurse comes in and goes, "Okay, it's time to go. Dad, come over here." And I was like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Yep, come over here, Dad. I need you to hold this leg." And I was like, I didn't know I was going to be involved in this whole process. And I just remember my wife was like, "You look straight at me. You look straight at me. You do not look down there." I was like, "Trust me, honey. I got no problem just looking straight ahead."
is that what she said when the baby was conceived too?
You look
She's like, "You get your chicken fingers." Damn it.
3, 2, 1.
No, because you guys already heard the joke, and That's all right. Let's keep.
I'm
keep
still laughing.
So hold on. So let's keep going with this. Since we were talking about kids really quick, we're just gonna go ahead and get right into the feature topic here.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Since we're already talking about kids, what we wanted to talk about our feature topic, feature presentation, was having girls. Mike, you're about ready to have a girl. Jason, your first child was a girl, and my first child was a girl. So what was it like for you? Mike, you talked about kind of wanting a girl. I wanted a girl. Jason, did you want a girl as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So what was it that we all did to have these girls?
Well,
Was it a certain type of food? Was
it
it
involved a lot of chicken fingers
Ew.
and Thin Mints.
Oh,
No
gosh.
one's eating chicken fingers after hearing this.
Yeah, Jason, you were happy to have a girl, correct?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So
wanted-
what was it that we? Because I wanted a girl too. So what was it that kind of made you guys want girls as well? Mike, you mentioned that there are no girls in your family, and that was the same with me. My family's dominated by boys, so I kind of wanted to have a girl.
Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I feel like when you're a father, there's that, like, you know, fathers have a special relationship with their daughters, like daddy's girl, and then sons have a special relationship with their moms, like mama's boys. I don't know. I just thought if I had a daughter, we'd have a kind of a cool relationship. But you know, I'm not to say that when I have a son, it wouldn't be the same thing. But that was just kind of my thought too. The fact that our family is dominated by men, and you know, we'd have that special father-daughter bond. And anyone in my family hearing this would be shocked to hear me say that word bond, because I hate that word, but it's my daughter. So
There's some nice synergies between you and your
Shut
your
up.
daughter.
Jason, what about you?
I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I was pretty terrible at a lot of like guy things, typically guy things growing up. So
I liked more girl things when I was a child.
Mike,
did you
shut your
sit?
mouth. Don't you dare, Mike! Don't even start. Don't even start. I don't know.
All I
don't
was
know
going
what
to
you're
say
about to
is, did you sit peeing down, or did you pee sitting down?
Did you sit being down?
Sit being down. No, I didn't. No. I don't know what it was, but I think it was probably subconsciously a little bit about what Mike said, but I don't really have a good answer. But and then our second was a boy, and they're totally different, and not just because one's a boy and one's a girl, but because one's rambunctious and one's way more docile, and so I feel like it's good.
Who's more rambunctious?
Oh, my son, the 2-year-old for sure. Nora's a bit of a bookworm. She's super smart, and she's old enough now that it's fun to play jokes and be funny, and it takes a long time. And if you test those waters too early, it does not go well. Whether it's a boy or a girl, it's, you know, once they have a little sense of humor, pretty fun.
Okay, so we talked about having girls and loving, obviously, the little girls that we have. How do you guys think of, because I think of it, not all the time, but it does cross my mind, about when they become teenagers? Does that kind of terrify you guys of thinking of having girls when they're teenagers?
Yes. My future daughter hasn't even been born yet, and I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna have to grow up. Someone told me when you have a son, you only have to worry about one dick. When you have a daughter,
Oh,
you have
gross.
to worry about all the dicks.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god!
That's good. That's good. Who
Uh,
told you
you-
that, Mike? Your dad? Was it
but-
your dad?
Definitely not Gil. It was not Gil.
The reason I bring this up is because this past week on Valentine's Day, I picked up my daughter from daycare, and well, I pick her up every day. And so when I was leaving the house to go get her, a few houses down, I saw this teenage boy get out of his Jeep with a present and walk up to the neighbor's door. And they have a daughter who's probably about 15, I would say, 15, 16 years old. And this boy was there to take her out. Maybe it was the boyfriend, I don't know. But he knocks on the door, and he has a present in his hand to give her. So he knocks on the door, she answers, he turns around and starts walking back to the Jeep with the present still in his hand. So he doesn't even give it to her. He starts walking back to the Jeep, and she's just kind of following behind him. And then this happened, which just infuriated me to no end. They walk back to the car, he goes around the car and just gets in and doesn't open her door, and she goes up and just grabs the door and gets in herself. And
Yeah.
if I ever saw that with my daughter, like, one, I'm terrified about her becoming a teenager, just because I think of myself as a teenager, and I was a good boy, and I still remember what I was like, and so that kind of terrifies me. But I thought to myself, okay, if I was sitting there watching this as a father, and I saw them walk out, and he just walks around the car and gets in himself and doesn't open her door, I would run out there, and I'm dead serious about this. I would run out there, make them both get out of the car, and make them redo that whole sequence again. Like make him open her door. And then when she gets home from the date, I would sit there and have a talk with her of like, okay, I don't really think you should see this guy anymore. I don't know if it's a millennial thing or what, but just the fact that he didn't open her door was just shocking to me.
I'd be more worried if he did open her door, because then it'd be like, oh, he wants something.
He's so you can't win, right? He's a jerk if he doesn't open her door, but then if he does open her door, you worry more because you think he's just trying to get something out of it.
Exactly.
I wonder what was in the present.
She doesn't know either because he apparently didn't give it to her.
It was chicken fingers.
It was an adult Happy Meal.
Yeah, it was from Burger King. As I left, because I drove by them, they ended up pulling up next to me at the light, and I look over, and she is looking straight ahead, chewing gum with like this scowl on her face. It looks like this guy was just at school and asked her out, and instead of saying no, she was just being nice. She did not look like she wanted to be there at all. It was quite funny to look over. And he was doing that thing where he was looking straight ahead, and then he'd kind of like look over at her, and then look straight ahead, and then like look over, like glancing over to see if she's actually like looking over at him. It was pretty funny to witness.
How long were you staring at them, Brian?
So I watched them for about a good 15 minutes, behind some bushes. Jason, what about you? I mean, you didn't get to chime in here, but just what do you think about having a girl and when she reaches that age?
I don't know. Like, what? Do you be the parent who's like, I'm the cool dad. Sit down, man. Come in. Have dinner with us. What's the high and low of your day, man? Like, you're part of the inner circle now. Like, I don't have the energy for that. Like, but I also don't want to be like, I'm gonna be here polishing my shotgun, because like that's not me. Like, right? I don't know.
No,
So,
you'd be polishing your tap shoes, but maybe not your shotgun.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna reach through the Skype and kill you.
Trying to act all like just polishing some shoes and being like, so what are your intentions with my daughter?
No, I really don't know, because both of my sisters either were never really actively dating people or dated the same person forever. So like I'm not even familiar with having siblings that have boyfriends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't really know what it's going to be like, but it's probably going to be terrifying, but it's okay. She's going to be 5 forever, so I don't even have to worry about it.
Mike, do you remember your sisters bringing any guys home and meeting your dad?
No, because they're 12 and 10 years older than me, so I was like 6 years old. The only thing I remember about my sisters is they would, well, especially my one sister Jen, would have parties at the house, and they'd be a ton of guys there, and I was like 6, and I remember coming out, and all these guys would be like, hey, little man, what's up, dude? And I had no idea what was going on. They probably just wanted to, like, have sex with my sister or her friends, which is awkward. I'll kick back at it. But I don't know. My sisters never had like boyfriends in high school. They just had parties. But then when my oldest sister brought her first boyfriend home, who eventually became her husband, my dad thought the world of this guy. He thought he was like amazing, and he is. He's a great guy. So I never really got to see my dad be that cool, like, what are your intentions with my daughter, figure.
I had to sit through one of those conversations with a girl I wasn't even dating. I went over to see a friend. Like, my mom had a friend who had a daughter who was roughly my age, and like I went over to like hang out at her house, or like we were going to go out to like a late lunch or something. It was the least romantic thing. This was maybe this end of high school, and I had to sit through like the what are your intentions, where are you going, how
Really?
special she is
Oh
to
my
me.
gosh.
I'm like, I am not remotely interested in your daughter. Can you imagine if I had said that? But like,
That'd have been awesome. Look, guy, you have nothing to worry about. Mike, did you ever have that with like any ex-girlfriends or anything? Like the dad's asking you questions or meeting the parents for the first time?
So the first girlfriend I had, her dad was like super laid back. You want to talk like hippie type of dad? He was way laid back. My college girlfriend or post-college girlfriend was probably the most like that, but he was 6'5", like Jason is. So the first time I met him, we were sitting down at like the entrance of a restaurant, and I see him walking up, and I looked at her, and I'm like, are you shitting me right now? He's a foot taller than me. But he turned out to be a totally normal guy, so I never really had that, like, what are your intentions with my daughter? And then, like, Lauren, I was 30, maybe a little older when we started dating, so that didn't even come into the conversation. So it wasn't really
wonder if-
like that.
I wonder if the parents, or dads in this case, are just as terrified of the boyfriends as the boyfriends are of the dads.
Terrified in the sense of what they're gonna do or what their
Or just, like,
intentions are, or just
What
like
the hell do I say to this kid?
Yeah.
Like, I wish he wasn't here. I'm uncomfortable that he's here. Like, I'm imagining that's why none of us ever had that conversation, and only until it's like, okay, they're in a serious relationship that it actually becomes like a little bit more like a. I don't know if that makes any sense.
yeah, like before it becomes a serious relationship, you know, before
Yeah.
he actually becomes, say, part of the family or someone you see often.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Did you have any awkward dating experiences with a dad?
Well, I would just say that my college girlfriend's dad, that dude hated me. Like, he didn't.
I didn't know that.
I mean, think about it. Her parents lived 5 minutes from our college campus. I dated her for about 4 years. Not once did her parents ever invite us over for, like, dinner or anything like that. Not once.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Not once. And so
They gave us a couch. That was a pretty nice couch.
yeah, that was a pretty cool couch. But I mean, not once did they ever invite us over, or I don't know if he was trying to be hard, or if, and I didn't view him as that way, but I don't know if he was trying to be tough or what with me, but I was never comfortable with him. Not once. The mom, I was totally fine with, but the dad, it's like you would think, okay, after you've seen me, or after I've been at some family functions, because she would always invite me to them, not actually the dad or the parents, you would think that after you've seen me now for what, 2-3 years, that maybe you would be like, oh, this is a nice guy, she's been dating him for a while. No, he never warmed up to me. He wasn't like a jerk or anything like that. It's just he never, I don't know, I think he didn't give two shits about me being there.
Even if they're totally cool with you and they like you and you like them, it's still just weird.
They know.
Yeah, you know, and like I'm like putting myself in that situation 20 years from now, and I'm like, ugh. It's got to be worse to be the parent than it has to be the boyfriend, you know?
Yeah.
And I just like, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be weird. And I know, like, as a boyfriend, you're kind of in a little bit of a denial, but as a parent, and I don't know if you're in a different kind of denial.
Well, so after my sister got married, she did like a family brunch the day after. And I thought to myself,
After the wedding.
the day after the wedding. Yeah. Did I say that?
The day after the first time.
But the day after the wedding, she had a brunch, like a family brunch. And I thought to myself, I mean, I was 10 at the time, so I obviously thought about this later in life. But I think to myself, the last thing I want to see is her dad the day
Yeah, exactly.
the day after the wedding night. You know what I mean? So another thing that kind of, I guess, scares me about when she gets older is I just think of the technology we had when we were teenagers compared to now, which obviously is a night and day difference. But what is it going to be like? What's the technology going to be like in 15 more years, or even
I'm gonna have
10 more years?
I'm gonna have a low jack on my daughter at all times and know where she is.
But I think, they have Snapchat now, where they can just send things and then it gets erased. I mean, what are they going to have in 10 years that they're going to be able to do? And I remember bringing this up to a friend who has a 15-year-old daughter, and she told me, she goes, if you raise them right, you'll be amazed that you don't actually worry about it as much as you think. Okay, to wrap up this segment, because we were talking about a lot of fears that we have of just having a daughter, what would you say, and Mike, you can chime in here about what you think is going to be the best part as well, but Jason, what do you think is the best part about having a girl?
I don't even know if this is specific to girls, because I'm looking forward to this with my son as well. But like the chance to re-enjoy the things that I loved growing up, or that I love now, that are child appropriate, like through her or his eyes for the very first time. Like next weekend we're going to go to Disney on Ice, and it has The Little Mermaid and Cars and Toy Story like as the featured characters. So last weekend we watched Toy Story. It was their first time seeing it. Today we're going to watch The Little Mermaid. She's never seen it.
Oh, that's
like
cool.
It's re-experiencing things that were special to me, like, and introducing her to those same things.
I mean, I would completely agree with Jason. I don't have a kid yet, but I think that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to not being the only one to order pizza and chicken tenders at a restaurant when we go out. That'll be amazing too.
Order off the kids meal.
Yeah, right. Me and my daughter will both be slamming our forks down, saying mozzarella sticks, mozzarella sticks.
And
about
heat
you,
them
Rob?
up to be extra gooey.
Exactly.
I would say, well, a friend this week that I saw that I hadn't seen in a really long time. She has a boy and a girl as well, and she was just saying that the boys tend to have that bond with mom. And I will say that my daughter and I definitely have a bond. I'll always remember the first time that I was sitting on the floor with her, and she's standing up walking around, and she just comes over to me and sits down in my lap. I just love that. Or when sometimes I'm in the kitchen or just walking around and she'll come up and just grab my leg and she looks up at me and just kind of starts talking. And only because it's easier for babies to say dada over mama, but the first time she said dada too, it just melts your heart.
There's benefits of both, and I just think guys go wanting a daughter are a little more naive about what girls have, as opposed to women are more naive about what boys are like growing up.
Alrighty, well that's gonna wrap up the segment of having daughters and just what it's like for us, especially as we move forward in life, of having a 5-year-old daughter, a almost 2-year-old daughter, and a soon-to-be daughter. So let's talk a little bit about sports really quick. I just want to talk a little bit about this because what part of the year do you dislike the most? Football is over right now. Baseball isn't back yet, and really basketball is the only sport on TV. And I don't necessarily include
Hockey.
I know, but hockey's always on. Hockey has like a 2-week break between the playoffs and when they start up again. Hockey's always on.
The seasons actually overlap. They're so long.
Yeah, exactly. During the playoffs, they're actually starting the next season. And so there's 2 lulls during the year when there's only one sport really on TV. It's after the Super Bowl, it's the NBA for a few months, and that's before baseball ramps up in April, and in June, July, when it's just baseball. I think I know what you guys are going to say here, but which period do you enjoy more of the lulls in sports?
The worst lull for me is probably, I would say, March, because March is all about March Madness in basketball, and I could give 2 shits about college basketball or any college sports for that matter, even college football. We went to a D3 school that had no real college presence, and I can't really be a fan of a college team that I didn't go to, so it's really March for me. Football's really not going on. You got some talk about the draft. Hockey is the one sport I'll probably watch, but it's not to the point where it's getting exciting to the end of the season.
I definitely prefer summer because I love baseball, so I'll watch that anytime. I don't consider that a lull. I think right now is the worst time of year for sports watching.
I enjoy this time more just because obviously I like basketball and I get into March Madness. I don't sit there and watch college basketball every weekend. I couldn't actually tell you the last time I really watched college basketball, but I do enjoy March Madness. But I'll just say I don't watch ESPN or SportsCenter at all during this time of year. Like, those guys are even having trouble coming up with something, you know?
Well, they all they come up with now is not sports-related news. It's crime and sports-related news. Like, Darrelle Revis just got in trouble for felony charges. That's all it's about right now. It's crazy how all they cover is just, like, not sports news, but about athletes.
So the next thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys as well is I found this list that came out from Forbes, and they talk about the richest franchises in sports. So if you guys had to guess, who would you say is, and this is just U.S. teams. They included soccer teams, you know, over in Spain and Barcelona and all that, but I just don't really care about that. So I just kept this to kind of U.S. sports teams. So who would you guys say? And I think a lot of, when you hear the name, you're going to go, oh yeah, but I don't think a lot of people would actually guess who's actually number 1.
I would say probably either the Yankees or the Cowboys.
Okay.
I would say the Lakers.
Okay, and that was surprising. I was actually surprised as how far down the Lakers were. And the Lakers aren't too far down, but I mean, they are far down. And Mike, I'm actually surprised you did guess one of them. You guessed the top 1 and 2. So who would you say is 1? Who would you say is 2?
I'd say the Yankees are 1 and the Cowboys are 2.
Yeah, see, and it's reversed. It's actually the Cowboys who are actually the richest franchise in sports. And I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought the Yankees, I would have thought the Knicks or the Lakers or another New York team. You know what I mean? Like maybe the Jets or the Giants just because of the markets they're in. Or even the Dodgers. And
I only said the Cowboys because football right now is the most marketable sport. And I was trying to think what team is, well, they're not obviously the most widely regarded as the favorite, but has a lot of money and has a lot of fanfare throughout the country. And that's why I thought the Cowboys.
So I'm going to run down the top 10 really quick. So number 1 is Dallas. 2 is the Yankees. 3 is the Patriots. They used to not be there. It was interesting to look at the Patriots and how over the years they've climbed up in the top 50.
Was it interesting, or was it just, oh yeah, that makes sense because they're so great?
Well, it does make sense, obviously, from what they've done, but it was pretty amazing watching how high they climb. Same with the Golden State Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, to watch them
city.
jump up. Yeah. So 4th is the Knicks, 5th is the Redskins.
Redskins?
Yeah, 5th is the Redskins.
How was that? Well, there's a lot of money in DC, but other than that, how is that even possible?
I know. 6th is the Giants. 7th is the Lakers.
Wait, the San Francisco Giants or the New York Giants?
Sorry, New York Giants is 6. These next ones before number 10 amazes me. The 49ers and the Jets before the Dodgers. Dodgers are actually number 10.
That's because baseball is yawn boring right now.
But I mean, you still have the Yankees up there at number 2, and yet you have LA Dodgers. I mean, a storied franchise at 10. That was just, I mean, you have the 49ers above the Dodgers? Like, really?
I'm interested on how they created this list because I work near the stadium and I've been by the stadium on event days or game days, and that stadium is not full. I mean, they had a terrible year, but I don't know how they evaluate these teams because
I can't imagine it's like current year sales. I'm imagining it's like,
well, I think what it is if they were
years.
I think it says richest franchises in sports, and it has it by billions, and what I think it means is their net worth, right? If they were to sell the team, if Jerry Jones were to sell the Cowboys, he could sell it right now for $4 billion. And that's how much it's worth.
It's the notoriety, obviously. You know, the Yankees are synonymous with baseball across the world. And I know you said this is U.S. teams, but obviously, when you factor in pure sales, it goes over the seas.
Yeah.
So if you had all the money in the world and you could buy any team, not your own favorite teams in any sport, but not your favorite teams, which teams would you buy? I would buy the Cowboys because that stadium is amazing.
Just so you can have the stadium.
Yeah,
We're actually not going to have games anymore. Thank you all very much. But I'm just going to move in and sleep on the field every day. Thank you.
I would buy the Pittsburgh Steelers and rename them the Pittsburgh Tap Dancers just in spite of Jason.
You're cold-blooded, man. I didn't even go near I haven't said anything about the Patriots.
You just said last week that Tom Brady's a pretty good quarterback.
I said sure, he's the best quarterback ever, because if I disagree, you're just going to argue with me. Brian, go.
I would say, obviously I can't pick the Broncos, but if I were to pick 2 others, and this is going to sound maybe really weird to you guys, but maybe the Knicks, New York Knicks, because they've been a mess for so long. I would love to actually go in there and clean it up. But the other one, I think for just nostalgia's sake, I think it'd be really cool to own the Cubs.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to finish up our sports section. I didn't really want to get into much of sports right now because it's really boring, because sports right now is boring. But I did want to close out our show this week by talking about the best we've ever had. Restaurants, guys. Food at restaurants.
Oh, food at
restaurants. And before we get into this, I have a listener email I want to read that kind of goes along with this, and this is from Frank. He says, while I do not go out often, I have to say that I do enjoy the rare, fancy, expensive dinner. And not just for the food, which had better be good, but I enjoy that feeling when the staff is really taking care of you, and when the chef comes out to ensure that his food is up to their standards. Well, that makes me feel like the boss. So, what are your guys' thoughts on going out for really fancy dinners? And going along with what we're talking about right now, the best we've ever had, does that have to do with the fanciness of the restaurant as well?
I don't like when they do that at restaurants because all I am thinking about is this is going to be really expensive.
Yeah.
If they're like, well, Mr. Cabral, are you enjoying your meal? And the chef comes out and they're like waiting on me hand and foot. I'm like, this is going to be ridiculously expensive.
Can you take this back?
Do you guys offer financing for this food? No, the best meal I ever had was not at a fancy restaurant, but I will say Ruth's Chris has a delicious steak. And even though it's a chain, I would highly recommend going there if you like steak because it's very delicious.
Wait, you don't consider Ruth's Chris a fancy place?
No, I do. I said I do.
That was another place I went with my ex-girlfriend's parents one time, and the dad just looked annoyed that I was there. That goes back to, I think, him hating me. So, anyways.
You have to spend $60.
Yeah, he probably hated that. Shit. Like, oh gosh, I gotta spend $70 on this guy I hate.
For me, the best meal, like the best food I've ever had, and I was thinking about this, but Lauren took me out for my birthday a year or two ago, and in Boston we have what's called the North End. It's a lot of Italian restaurants, but we went to this place, and I actually can't even remember the name. It was La Familia or something else. But we had these things called arancini, which are these fried risotto cheese balls, and the sauce they had with it was so good. And I actually like that more than the actual meal. And I find that actually happens to me a lot, where I like the appetizer if I go out to a nice restaurant or even a medium level restaurant more than the actual meal. And these fried arancini balls with the sauce that we had were just so damn good. And I will say, even though it wasn't my meal, Lauren got something one time at Almanov, which is the restaurant that Mark Wahlberg's family owns. She got this bacony, cheesy pasta that was amazing there. So those are the two things that I would say for me.
Sarah and I were in New York in 2009, and we went to breakfast at a place near Central Park, and they offered some kind of like artisan spread for the bread, and it was basically like Nutella, but fancy Nutella.
I love Nutella.
It was super good. So it was called Brunette spread. And so when I got home, I remembered thinking like, oh, for Christmas, I should buy that for her. But I can't really quite remember what it was called or what the restaurant was called that we got it from. So at work, I Googled Brunette spread. Hand to God, I swear this is a true story. And you know what would have popped up. I wasn't even thinking about what would have popped up when
you popped up, right?
Yeah. Jesus. So I had to go into my boss because I assumed that they were monitoring our computers pretty closely. So I had to go in and explain the whole conversation, the whole situation, and explain, and then follow that up with like an email.
Wait,
explaining
what came
so
up
that it was
when
in
you
writing.
Googled Burnett spread?
Are you kidding, Brian?
No, like Burnett is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. The Burnett spread was the best I've ever had.
Burnett spread.
Your wife is blonde, Jason.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
So, Jason, what would you say is the best meal you've ever had?
I mean, not to sound like a broken record, because I do eat more than fondue, but the first time I went to the Melting Pot, it was actually up here in San Jose. It was years ago, and I went with Sarah's family back when we were dating, and I didn't know what fondue was. And if you've been to the Melting Pot, it's, first it's cheese that you dip bread in, and then it's oil that you dip meat and cook your meat in, and then it's chocolate that you dip desserts in. I ate so much at that meal, and I loved it so much that I went to the bathroom between the main course and dessert, threw up, came back, and I kept eating.
Oh my gosh!
Holy crap! I threw up at the Melting Pot too, but not because I ate. Not because I ate too much, because I had a piece of steak stuck in my throat. So we both thrown up at the Melting Pot.
Oh. I would have paid to have seen that. Mike, the situations you get into sometimes crack me up. And for those who don't know, Jason, you're a huge cheese fan, so you probably love Melting Pot, right?
Those of you who don't know, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a huge cheese fan. I never really thought about it, but
I thought you said one of your favorite foods is cheese. Like, you love cheese.
Yeah, everyone loves cheese.
Yeah, but everyone loves, exactly. I don't love cheese more than Mike does.
The viewers are like, I know, I feel so much closer to Jason right now because I know he loves cheese.
Brian, what about you? What is the best meal you've ever had?
So I would say the best meal I've ever had. There's been two of them, but the first one was at Mastro's in Beverly Hills. And
Maestro's?
Maestro's, sorry, Maestro's, whatever. So we used to, because of where I worked, there were networks that would come in and just take us out to any place we wanted to go, and we always said that place, and we could get anything we wanted. And so I actually feel bad that at the time I wasn't into wine, because they would end up ordering like $500, $600, $1,000 bottles of wine. And so I just can't imagine what these bottles of wine tasted like. It was probably great wine. But the steaks there were amazing. But it wasn't the steak that I thought was the best. It was the dessert. And they had this chocolate cake that was called Better Than Sex chocolate cake. And that was the best chocolate cake I've ever had. And I think of the title of it, right? Better than sex cake. And my wife said this one time. She's like, that's a woman that comes up with that, because no man is ever like, man, this cake is way better than sex. But yeah, that chocolate cake was great. And second, I would actually have to say, on our honeymoon, we went to Sandals. And at one of the restaurants, they had lobster night one of the nights we were there, and they had a lobster pasta or lobster mac and cheese, which was amazing. And so,
Ugh, lobster is gross. Ugh.
How can you say that?
Yeah.
How can you not like lobster?
And you just dip it in butter.
It comes with like claws and tentacles, and like you crack it open, and it's disgusting. I said it, and I had
what
this
kind of
thought,
lobster are you eating that has tentacles?
Well, it's funny because I thought about it, and then Jim Gaffigan actually said the same thing, and I always thought lobsters are like scorpions of the ocean.
That's
and
true.
Crabs are like spiders of the ocean, and they just are gross looking. Like when I see people like, oh, crawdad bake, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna barf everywhere. And living in New England and being in Boston, obviously lobsters are a huge thing out here, and I can't stand them. I think they're gross. My mom she used to kill lobsters in front of me and make them. She'd buy them at the market.
She'd slit their throats right in front of him.
Literally. So she'd buy. And again, this isn't some animal rights thing. I just think it's gross. I'd come home and
Michael, get over here! I'm gonna kill the lobster.
She'd have these giant rubber bands around their claws so they wouldn't friggin' pinch you. And then she'd flip them upside down, she'd rub their belly, and she did that because she thought she would be putting them to sleep. That was her thought. And then she threw them in the pan. It was the more tame way of killing them. And I was just horrified and thought it was absolutely disgusting. And you eat it like in its full form. I've never eaten a steak where the
No, you don't.
cow.
No, you don't. You break it out of it.
No, you take the tail off.
Yeah, but when you get it, it's in its like true form. It's gross.
It's gross. I love the end of that Jim Gaffigan joke. I know we've all talked about it, where he said, if I walked into my house and I saw a lobster in my living room, I'd say, we're moving.
Not yum. I'm going to eat that. I'll tell him, he goes, look, I like butter and garlic too, but you don't need a lobster to eat it. Kind of like corn. Corn's disgusting. People just slather it with butter and salt and cheese, and they think it's delicious. Corn's gross. Try eating corn on its own.
Try eating anything that's good on its own. It's gross. It's gross. Mike doesn't like seafood, people. Or vegetables. But Sour Patch Kids, that's amazing. I'm surprised you didn't say that, Mike. That the best you've ever had was a Sour Patch straw and a Slurpee from 7-Eleven.
It's pretty good. But
yes.
I would say the arancini was better.
So that'll wrap up the first edition of the best we've ever had, and of course we'll come up with other ideas, and if you guys want to send in some ideas as well for us, that would be great. And before we go to the final segment here, to the life tip of the week, guys, I just want to say something really quick to the listeners out there, and you guys can chime in here as well. I just want to take a minute for us to say thank you to them for joining us and downloading the show. This is the 4th week that we've been doing this, and week after week I'm just blown away by the number of downloads that we keep getting. I mean, they're rising and rising with every episode, and we're truly humbled and thankful for you guys joining us week after week. And I really hope we make your day a little more enjoyable and bring some laughter into your life, because God knows right now we need it with all the negativity on the news and Facebook and just anywhere you turn. So thank you so much for giving us your ears, if only for an hour a week.
Yes, thank you. I second that very much. Appreciative.
Motion passes. We have thanked the listener.
With that said, I would just ask the listeners to do us one little favor, and that would be to go on iTunes and either leave a review or a rating for the podcast. We're working hard to get this out to more and more people each week, and that truly helps us. And we're also working on, and Mike and Jason and I have talked about this, and we don't have anybody lined up right now, but of getting some guests on in the future for the show. So that is one thing that we're trying to bring to the podcast sometime. We're not going to do it every week, but hopefully we can get some guests to bring on the podcast. Also, send us an email at dudewe'readults@gmail.com. No apostrophe in that "were." We'd love to get some emails from you guys, and we try to get to all the emails that we can each week. And so if you haven't heard yours, keep listening, because we want to make sure that we get to them all. And hit us up on Twitter as well at dudewe'readults. Again, no apostrophe in that "were." And so do you guys want to hear the life tip of the week real quick? I saw
Yeah.
this and I thought it was kind of interesting. So, if your coffee or tea is too hot, leave your stirring spoon in the mug. It will act as a heat sink and absorb the heat faster, thus cooling your drink down even quicker. So I thought that was interesting, because all I gotta say is whenever I go to Starbucks and get something from them, I'll get it and I say, thank you, I will enjoy this in about 2 hours because of how hot it is.
I put an ice cube in my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, my mom does that too. Like she'll pour the coffee and then put some ice in it. My grandmother, she would pour it in her cup and then she would put that cup in the microwave and do it for another minute.
No way. Have you guys ever swallowed the coffee when it's too hot and it hurts so much and it hurts your tummy?
Your tummy?
Mommy, my tummy hurts.
Yeah, your daughter's future boyfriend is not going to be intimidated by you.
He walks in and Jason's drinking coffee. He's like, Sarah, my tummy hurts.
Let's go, babe.
Alrighty, well, with that, let's go ahead and wrap up this week's show. Thank you guys for listening. And any words that you guys have before we walk out here?
Hide your wives, hide your daughters.
I'm going to go look up Sherry Graham and send one to
Sherry's
you guys.
berries.
I'm gonna go look up brunette spread and see what pops up.
I'm saying pops up.
Have a good week, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.